Today's sci-fi share is a very recent film. The English title is The Missing. And this film, I was completely blown away by this film. It came out in 2023 from the Philippines. It's in Tagalog, and I am not confident of pronouncing the original title. Let's see. Iti Mapukpukaw. And I'm pretty sure my pronunciation is terrible. English translation for audiences elsewhere was The Missing. Back fall of 24, there was a local cinema for me that was running a series of animated sci-fi films during the month of September, I think. I have a friend who gets interested as well in more outlier films, even if it's not always sci-fi for him, the way it more often is with me. And so we ended up enjoying catching this series of films. All of them were animated sci-fi. So you had, I think, Gandahar from France. Not surprising. Some more outlying recent ones, and this particular one from the Philippines was the last one of the series. And although my friend and I caught all of them and enjoyed them all, really, this was the one that blew our minds and left us feeling like this was an experience to have had and a little bit shaken and feeling like this was worth experiencing, this was worth taking part in and being with these characters. More recently, I was taking care of a friend's dog and found out at random that this is on Netflix right now. So, the friend I caught it with last fall, let him know. We immediately planned to rewatch it, since at the time there was no plans for distribution, so we were lucky to catch the one showing then. And on rewatching, it actually only became a better film through the second watch, for both of us at least. Okay, in The Missing, the main character is Eric, who is an animator. He is mute and goes around during his day-to-day with his job, with people he knows, the apartment he lives in. He actually has a whiteboard that hangs around his neck, and he keeps a dry erase marker so he can easily communicate with people around him as needed. The way the film makes it easy and obvious that Eric is mute is he has no mouth entirely. Right as the film is getting going, Eric is woken up by a call from his mom, Linda. She's wanting to check up on him and then also asks if he'll check in on his uncle, Regilio. Eric doesn't really recall too much. It's been years since he's seen him, but apparently Regilio lives pretty close to where Eric is now. And his mom hasn't heard from her brother in quite a few days despite reaching out. And so asking Eric to check on his residence and just see what's going on so that they could figure out this mystery. Eric agrees to check up on Regilio, and while he is starting to get situated to do this wellness check, for lack of a better word, he starts experiencing out-of-place sensations. A sense of someone else around, visions of a futuristic place, even memories from Eric's childhood. These occurrences end up really gripping Eric, and it's almost a sense of displacement from the real day-to-day that he is in. And they only continue cropping up as he continues and seeking out his uncle, the family interplay that continues. It's very much almost an entire removal from life as he's seeing and experiencing it. That's actually not too far into the film with that, but I don't want to give anything further away because I think that that would diminish a film watch for anyone wanting to try this for themselves, and this film deserves to be watched and experienced. And I don't want to be spoiling it. What's the type of sci-fi this is? Drama. Absolutely. The experiences that Eric starts to have, and they keep cropping up with someone alien, they're unsettling and very captivating, very intense feeling. You're really with Eric in these experiences, and it's a very captivating sensation. I don't know if it's because it's animated that it helps contribute to that, but you end up definitely feeling like not just a person watching a story on a screen. It really grips you and brings you in, and it's as if you're with Eric experiencing these things and having the upsets and the disorientation that's coming with this. Eric struggles the more this happens for him, and you're with him terrified, trying to figure out how to stop these things from happening and be free of that. There are also family elements at play that I still don't want to reveal too much because watching it is such an experience to have. But they are absolutely a big factor in the film overall. The film may have lighthearted moments from time to time, but it's a very quiet film that is not afraid to go into these somber and upsetting, distressing areas. And it made for a very intense experience. Since I don't want to ruin the film, I don't really want to talk about the sci-fi elements involved. Having said that, it is still kind of a unique film as far as even making it. The animation is largely rotoscope style, so for anybody that watched A Scanner Darkly, this is going to feel familiar. You will have experienced this. The outliers are some of these childhood memories of Eric's. They're in a more simplistic style. And it's intriguing because with Eric being an animator and working that way as an adult, it is made apparent that he's been drawing and making art since he was a child. So these memories, they seem to be shaped by his approach to art and his skills at that point in time. So it's an interesting way to really differentiate what he was like as a child, and that is felt very strongly because of the art style that it shifts to for those young memories of his. Another interesting tidbit for the film, this was the Philippines' entry into the 2024 Oscars as far as the best international feature film for their country. The director, Carl Joseph E. Papa, has said in interviews that the film has come out of his own experiences and struggle, although not a direct retelling or adaptation of life circumstances of his. I actually liked, in particular, some of these words that I found he had said in a specific interview. From the true meaning of the word animation, which is to bring life, I hope that in creating Eric, I create refuge for people who suffered the same fate as he did. And for those who have not, I hope the film sheds more light on this topic. I hope that it creates a safe space where giving information, fostering understanding, and initiating discourse are things we don't have to be afraid of. If you go look up this film online, it will be ruined because they don't hesitate to talk about the big elements of the story. Like I said, I'm avoiding that. It's up to you if you want to seek that out for yourself, but it won't be ruined because of me. What I will share is that this film, I found it phenomenal. I walked away from that first watch feeling shaken. Walking out of the theater, I went to my car, got inside, and just sat, wanting to let the impact be what it was and consider what had just happened to me. The Missing goes to some very difficult places, and it doesn't flinch at showing how hard those places and circumstances are. Not only for the person who is struggling, but also for those who want to show up for the one struggling and be supportive and present for them. Life doesn't come with templates on how to show up for someone in a rough period. We will all experience grief, loss, trauma. Those periods of time where it's just hard and it is not a simple fix. It's not a quick resolution. It's something to muddle through and do the best you can. And even though everyone will go through things, how each and every one of us sees and feels and processes these experiences, it's almost infinite variation on the impact and what comes out of that. Have you by any chance heard of or watched the film I'm a Cyborg, But That's Okay? It's a South Korean sci-fi film. Side note, it's the same director who did Oldboy. But it evokes these same feelings of having someone struggle through something, and not just the fact that there is a hardship, but having that dynamic where you see the struggler and the ones trying to be present for them and be alongside that. I'll probably end up talking about that film at some point because it's worth mentioning, but it's quite a good film as well. That film, as well as The Missing, do have some parallels in showing that a struggle can be so unique and personal and incredibly challenging for someone, and that having that struggle, it doesn't mean that you're defective. It doesn't mean that you're broken beyond repair. It just means that you're human. Eric's journey in The Missing was incredibly poignant for me to feel that I was journeying alongside and actively a part of. Animating the film really gave an added dimension to what is going on with Eric in a way that live action wouldn't have done. It really brought deeper meaning and perspective to what he's going through. Watching the film a second time recently, I was completely surprised by how much I had not noticed in the first watch. There was more nuance and layers to catch with knowledge of the film from that previous watch. And a lot of times when a film is rewatched, it doesn't have impact, it sort of lessens. I found the second watch more impactful, more meaningful for being able to notice these additional layers and complexity. And it contributed to a deeper involvement and caring about this character. I'm absolutely encouraging anyone to watch this who is even the slightest bit interested. The Missing is streaming last I noticed and checked. It's on Netflix and Amazon Prime. I dearly want to get a hold of a hard copy for myself, but I haven't had any luck finding any DVD Blu-ray options out there right now. Still, I am so incredibly pleased that it got further distribution and it's now on services so that more people can catch this film and stumble upon it for themselves. Or maybe I'm giving you all a taste of something that you want to check out. Caveat, this is a heavy film to watch. So if you're looking at something to just put on casually, I don't recommend this for that purpose. You're going to want to know going into it that this is not a cutesy, lighthearted film, and the animation does not mean that it's not capable of being very heavy, very emotionally engaging, and quite a journey to take you on. There's so much sci-fi that's still out there to watch, and I'm going to keep watching it. Hence the name of this channel, Seawall. SIAWOL, standing for sci-fi is a way of life. And while I don't mean that entirely literally, because sci-fi is not the only thing I care about, nonetheless, I have found a lot of meaning in different films from all over, and it's a wonderful way to challenge my own perspectives, my own viewpoints. The way that the culture I've grown in has shaped me, and seeing sci-fi and how it is conceived in other places around the world brings fresh ideas. It brings different nuance. And it challenges things I would not have considered. Sci-fi is just awesome. So obviously, I'm going to continue seeking out these sci-fi films. And if you are watching, then you get to hear about them. So, see you soon.